is going on? I am the YouTube page called Ceremonial Witchcraft. I am the Ceremonial Witch, which is one of my alter egos, and it's the one I put on when I'm coming out here to talk about how you can use your subconscious mind to your benefit. How do you not let something like COVID-19 affect you and be protected from it completely? When I talk about how you should start depolarizing yourselves so that you can equally banish things out of your life and bring stuff to you from a neutral place and not just think bad versus good, evil versus good, heaven versus hell, all that bullshit. So you don't take that shit fucking literally and think this world is absolutely either great or bad. It's neither, but it's both and everything else. But I'm the one that talks about this shit. Now, I have a second page that I don't have any videos on yet, and the reason being I haven't decided if I want to put some of this material on there, or if I'm just going to put new material, different material, or certain videos I deem for that specific page, leave it on there and leave stuff on here. So essentially, I guess what I'm trying to do is, the other page I called it Advanced Occult and Magic, or Advanced Occult Theory. I can't remember if it's something Advanced Occult or Advanced, but anyways, it's basically to I want to have written down, I want to have a page dedicated to the more out there ideas to talk about, such as programming, such as the Bible God being a thought form and how to deprogram yourself from that. I don't necessarily want that all associated with the same page, because what I tend to find, and I mean, maybe I shouldn't care, I probably shouldn't, but I do. I tend to find is when I speak about specific things, not lately, because I'm at 42 subscribers. Like I recently played a video said that I was at 35, now I'm at 31 subscribers. That was a week ago, and I went up to 42. So I mean most people are like, well, he's happy about 7 subscriber change. And it's like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm so fucking happy about that. That to me is awesome. For doing this for about a year and 2 months, I think it is, having the 42 subscribers, I think that's fantastic. And I've never made a YouTube channel before, so compared to my results before, which I don't have any results compared to, I think that's amazing. And I could go and compare myself to people like Thunder Wizard, Ralph Smart, Raider Xavier, or whoever, but I'm not them, they're not me. And I learned a while back when I first started this to stop comparing myself to other people and compare myself to myself yesterday. Compare myself to, an older version of myself and see if I've made any growth. Because comparing myself to someone else is just stupid. But comparing myself to myself is beneficial. And people will say, well, that's being kind of hard on yourself. Where the girl will look at herself and wish she was, 10 pounds lighter or whatever and be very sad and shit about it. It's like, well, it may be destructive. And then, if it's your wife, when you're the husband, well, when she asks you if you like her the way she looks, you don't even hesitate, and you fucking say, baby, you're fucking beautiful. You're the most beautiful woman in the whole fucking goddamn world. And that's the thing. People will say, well, you're just saying that, Corey. It's like, no, I truly believe that about my wife. She is inside and out beautiful. Her out exterior, she is fucking sexy as hell. I am still magnetized by her. I am magnetically pulled to her. Not only that, her insides are beautiful. What she stands for is beautiful. Her soul, her attitude, her essence, everything about my wife, that woman is beautiful. I am deeply, deeply in love with her. So it is as it is. Got some coppers here at Walmart, so I gotta go. All right, what's going on? You can see I changed my clothes a little bit so the cops can't recognize me. Haha, no, that's not what happened. Anyways, unrelated to me, thank God. I don't do anything illegal. Anyways, my wife is beautiful on the inside out. So, fellas, ladies ask you, if you're beautiful, if you look sexy, if you think we gain weight, automatic no, and beautiful. And, if you have a bond like I have with my wife, if you think, she's going to know, she's going to think I'm lying if I say she's the most beautiful girl in the world, especially the way she thinks about herself. Well, I don't know. The way my bond is with my wife, I'm not lying. I actually think she is the most beautiful person in the world, because beauty isn't just on the outside. And I know a lot of people think, well, that's just what other people say. It's like, well, fuck, whatever. If you haven't ever had a connection like I have with my wife, then yeah, you would say something like that, because you wouldn't understand why and how deep you can actually love someone. I would literally put my life on the line for her. I would take the fall for her if she did something wrong. And I would go to jail for her. I would also die for her. I would do all that because I love her. I'd also do that for my kids. And most people will do that for their kids, but will they do that for their spouse, their mate, the person, maybe mama, whoever? A lot of people can't answer yes to that, and I would. And I believe my wife would do the same for me. I pretty much know she would. So we have a bond. But anyways, I don't know how I got onto that topic before all this. Why I was saying that. What the fuck was I talking about? I saw a girl that looked beautiful or whatever. I can't fucking remember a goddamn reason why I'd be talking about that. This is ridiculous. Anyways, so I guess I'll just keep going on. So anyways, I got some shit to talk about today. I'm gonna play something, and it's just to keep everybody informed, but like I said many times, when it comes to COVID-19, I don't like giving this fucking thing energy. I don't like talking about it and expanding the thought form and the thoughts surrounding it and the energy surrounding it. But I do believe it's important to stay informed. So I know in Alberta right now, there's a bunch of laws that were created. I'm not sure what stage they're in. I know these bills and these laws have been created. So I know it's like past this place where it's just a bill and going through the House of Commons and all that. It actually is statutory mandated law. It has to do with vaccines, and if you protest whether they're taking this vaccine when it comes out or not. So I'm going to play that for you by somebody who I get a lot of my lawful sovereignty information from, Eternally Aware. He's absolutely phenomenal at figuring this shit out. But before I get into that, I just want to say that I made a candle. My last episode of podcast I put out, it started off by me saying, sorry about this, guys, because I was kind of scattered thinking and speaking how I always do. And I said I was making a candle. And on that candle, I was using the transformation sigil to give myself more time off. In addition to that, I also wrote that I vanished away with the new moon, my debt, and I invoked prosperity in the way, I didn't say prosperity, but I said I invoked financial currency to pay off all my debt. I vanished my debt and I invoked financial currency to, how did I put that? For my family's future. So I named everyone in my family, my wife, my 4 kids, and myself, and to have money in the bank. You won't believe what happened. All right. So, before I get into what happened with my candle, I guess where I was going earlier with that, which I couldn't figure out why I was talking about how magnetic I am to my wife, why she's beautiful, and why you automatically answer, is because I was saying you compare yourself to an earlier version of yourself and not somebody else. Now, you don't need to compare yourself to yourself. If you have self-negative talk and you're having trouble removing that or banishing that and only having positive self-talk, but what I'm trying to say is, if you can, from a neutral state, or at least even if you're using fear of going back to a bad place, like when I was slowly getting off drugs, okay, and trying not to use, even whenever I wasn't on Suboxone yet, well, I was buying Suboxone off the street, and some days I'd be able to take one 8 milligram pill and I'd be able to last 2 to 3 days without taking another one. And other days I'd have to use a pill each day. And I would get hard down on myself, like, fuck, I thought I was doing better, because I wanted to be good before. And even while I was on Suboxone, I did good, and then I started screwing up and using amphetamines. And sometimes I compare myself, I'm like, wow, doing a little bit of amphetamines with my Suboxone isn't as bad as what I used to do, which is a bad way to use this. But in the good sense, it was for me to not be so hard on myself. Like, you know what, if I'm like, for the first example I said, when I was using one Suboxone pill every day versus the 3 days, I would get down on myself, like, how come you're strong enough those days, not this day? And it's like, you know what, I take every day, take one day at a time. Don't bother getting down on yourself because I wasn't able to go 3 days this time without on one single pill, because I'm doing a hell of a lot better. I could be buying fentanyl patches, I could have been buying oxys, I could have been, anything, even heroin, for God's sakes, was available. So I could have been buying a lot of different kinds of drugs, and instead I was using something, Suboxone, which, it's still abusing a prescribed drug, but I was using it in the sense of, I don't want withdrawal pain and I don't want to be high. I want to start this process before I'm even at the clinic on this pill. So all I'm trying to say is, When I stopped working out, I was looking at my body like, man, I'm losing a lot of weight, man, I'm losing a lot of weight, man, I'm losing a lot of weight. And it's true, if you compare me now to when I got married, I was a lot bigger and buffer when I was married. But in the same sense, for me not working out, I think I look pretty good, you know. It's not the greatest shape, but I haven't worked out in forever. It's gotta be something like, fuck, when I started roofing, I couldn't work out anymore. And even after I lost the job prior to roofing, when I had the time off, after I got the first time off for my baby, I wasn't really working out. So that's like this is like my 4-year journey of going through this. I haven't worked out this entire time. So I think I look pretty good compared to that. But if I do compare myself, a Corey that was working out versus a Corey that's not working out, well, I don't look that good. But if I compare myself to, like, you know what? For a while when I was eating and I was doing drugs, I looked pretty shitty. And now, even though I'm not working out, I'm doing things right, I look a lot better. So all I was trying to say was, don't compare yourself to an older version of yourself. Well, don't compare yourself to other people, because not the same level playing ground. But in the same sense, you don't compare yourself to an older version of yourself unless you can use it as a motivation to propel you forward. Comparing yourself to yesterday is a good way to go. And if you're worse today than yesterday, well, don't be too hard on yourself. Use it as a learning experience. Like, okay, well, how can I not do this again? Was all I was trying to get at, and I don't even know why I started talking about that, to be honest. But I know that's kind of where I was trying to go. And, you know, it is what it is. Because even on my spiritual journey, I wasn't always able... One second. All right, so sorry about that, but what you just saw was just my hiking trip that me and my wife did today. It was pretty fucking fun, if I do say so myself. Had a fucking blast. Beautiful, beautiful Calabogie, somewhere. It's northwest of Ottawa. It's before Renfrew, right after Arnprior, on the way to Pembroke, and further down Petawawa. Not like going towards Toronto kind of west. Obviously, that's southwest and northwest Ottawa. But anyways, fucking beautiful, man. It was high up. I'm not scared of heights, and I love heights, actually. But a couple of those cliffs that I walked to, it was like, whoa, this is a little intimidating. Like, body kind of froze. And I'm not scared of heights. And it's like, why am I freezing? I know this is more dangerous than it's good for me. But so I had to, like, kind of remind myself to not be fearful, you know, like, it's okay. This is more dangerous than anything, because if I'm frozen and then something comes near me, I swat, you know, anyways, it doesn't really matter what ifs. I'm just saying, it was intense. It was cool. It was so high. But anyways, so I guess I was going to go somewhere on my spiritual journey with comparing myself. And I mean, that's something a lot of people do, right? They'll compare themselves to other occultists, other people who leave comments pretending or are more advanced than you, and you'll get down on yourself. And you might, because I'd have days, and I still have these days where it's like, oh, I'm so, like, because yesterday, for example, was a good day. Whenever you realize that something you asked for, you did, and it manifested right away. It's like, wow, this is awesome. Thank you. And truth be told, the thing I'm going to talk about, what it manifested yesterday for me, and it could be from prior candles, not even from yesterday's candle. But, you know, nonetheless, it doesn't matter, and that just means then I got more financial currency and abundance coming to me. And it's just, all these are all, you know, lined up from all the ones I've done. Every candle I do every night that I ask for something, well, it all takes time for them to manifest. And, you know, so candle I do today might manifest in a month from now, a couple weeks from now. But when it's manifesting today, it's something I put in my mind prior, which is how this thing works. Before you're aware of this concept, everything you do reaffirms the programming that's in your mind. And that's what plays out in your life, because everybody's creating the reality. Whether you're doing it like me, putting suggestions in your subconscious to play out as well as the other things that are already playing out in your life, or you are just, or You're just going along with the flow, trying to realize what's the secret to this fucking thing that all these guys are talking about, and how come I can't manifest stuff. Well, pay attention to my channel. I'll give you some good tidbits. Ralph Smart recently did a video, and it was how to put something in your subconscious, and I love Ralph Smart, and I know how to take his videos, and I know when he says things, some people might think the things he says are vague and don't know how to use that practically. Because, I mean, this one video someone said, if you ever notice that his advice is all platitudes now or something like that, and, you know, and it might be, but the same sense, even if Ralph came out and fucking told you, hey, this is a specific procedure how to put something in your subconscious mind, you'd have a different response for him, and you'd say probably something else, and, you know, so he can't just hand you the keys to the kingdom, and once again, when it works for him, it might not work for you. And maybe he's the type of person who doesn't believe in just telling people exactly how to do step for step for things. See, that's what I do. I try to tell people step for step what I fucking did, and in the hopes that they will take what I did and do it themselves. But here's the thing: if they don't read the books I do and don't know the system that the thing comes from, then they might decide to alter what I said, and which is fine. Adding to it and making it your own is fine. But if you take out specific parts, if you take out the god names and you try to use planetary names, it may not work, and it may. If you take it out and try to put deities there, it may not work, and it may. Once again, like I said, the Bible is a holy object in almost everybody's mind. Technically, it probably still is a holy object in my mind, and the reason for that is I use those god names, so I still want it to be holy in my mind, you know. But everybody puts belief in that, so therefore those words that have always been powerful, so the people that use it, the people that have used that system, those power in that words, those words in the Bible make them powerful. Using those names in this method is powerful because of that. So so if you were to take like something like any ritual, for example, and then you take out specific parts of it because you're not haven't done the work, because I'm just telling you, hey, this is how I manifest stuff, so you just go and do that, yet you didn't make a circle whenever you were doing your thing, or you haven't did some banishing, so you're going to have all these incoming thoughts, or you can't meditate yet, so your mind's kind of scattered, you can't focus on one thought at one time to do this process, then yeah, it's not going to work for you. So that might be the reason why Ralph Smart gives you broader information to get you started. Like, okay, this stuff is possible. He says this is how I do it. Start taking the simple steps like trying to change your diet and trying to go out into nature and trying to meditate and stuff like that. Then from there, your own body, your own intuition, I swear to God, I swear to fucking absolutely God, or the gods, that your body will point you and bring you to where you need to go, your inner guidance rather, and well, with your body, right? Because the subconscious, the divine, you start connecting that, and it's going to say, okay, he's serious, and it's going to get you through synchronicity down on the internet to find whoever you need to look for that'll bring you to the next level. And that's why I put out the information I put out for the people that start doing this process. And if what I say is a match with their type of energy and what they need to do in the system, well, then they will be led to my information. The same way I was led to Frederick Xavier and Birch's information and Ralph's information and even the Thunder Wizard, for God's sakes. I'm learning a lot from him right now. It's amazing. So, and once again, it's because I was a lot more polarized back when I was starting to hate on him, and now I'm not so polarized. You know, at a point in time, I don't know if it's because I thought I was depolarized, and I really wasn't, so I just wouldn't watch this stuff. And then all of a sudden, when I finally did, you know, the negative response I got to him pretending to be a reptilian, thinking that he was actually trying to deceive people, was a dopamine release in my mind that it was like, hey, let's attack this guy and flaunt all the knowledge that you have, so people maybe come to your channel. That's probably what I did it for, if I'm being completely honest. And I'd probably say, no, that's not the real reason, but, you know, deep down, it's probably what it was. And, you know, I feel bad for that, and I think I've apologized a few times, so, you know, but once again, I am sorry for any heat that I gave to Thunder Wizard, and I think he's actually used some of my knowledge to his benefit. Hell, Ralph Smart's video I'm telling you to watch, The Subconscious Mind, I swear to God, he must have watched my stuff or something similar. I mean, he is a psychologist after all, but he actually uses the model of the triune brain that I first talked about 2 months ago. And well, actually, it was before all this crap out with my wife. So it was like June, July, I started talking about the limbic system, the reptilian brainstem, being the neocortex, with your neocortex being your five senses and all that. And this is fight or flight and all that. I started talking about way back when, and I went in more depth. And then he talks about it in this video. And it was like, wow, he's got to be listening to my stuff. And it was just, he started naming all the parts of the pentagram, not saying the pentagram, but all these, the emotional, you have an emotional body, you have a mental body and all this. And that's all the different aspects of the pentagram, right? The star, if you put your arms out, you're a star. So all that's to say that, whether or not his stuff is platitudes and it's vague, it really doesn't matter. To me, Ralph Smart serves a purpose, because I'm not a beginner, but I'm not an advanced or an adept or anything like that, but I still watch his videos because from time to time he gives you some valid information. You also get a little bit of what's going on in the world today. Now, once again, I don't think it's good to give the thought form of COVID any more fucking spotlight on it. And at the same time, you don't want to if you talk about your magic, you're going to fuck up your magic. Ralph's got a lot of minds watching him. So if he starts talking about specific things he did, or, that could fuck up his way. People start doing the magic that he does, that could potentially... I got 42 subscribers, and God knows how many other people that watch me that aren't subscribed. But it's not that many minds that find out about my stuff. That being said, I told people when I was putting on that most recent candle, and this shit worked. I got the extra time off. As of right now, I'm off until January now, and I was supposed to return October 3rd, well, actually September 30th, which is next week, and I just got extended till January 11th or 15th. And I asked for financial currency I banished my debt and asked for financial currency for my wife, my kids. I named them all on there, and my wife decides to try to get credit cards. Now, this isn't necessarily like money coming into me, right? It's a fucking credit card, and I understand that, but nonetheless, we tried last month to get credit cards, and the reason being was we had to book a hotel for our little getaway trip, and we couldn't get one, so we had to find somewhere that would accept cash. And then today, first try, she got approved for $200 when she's done 2 bankruptcies, one within the last month, and she got it, boom, just like that. And that's even faster than the last time I did it. This shit's gonna go off. Give it a second there. But then she decides to do mine, and her credit score is at a 6 something. I'm at a 5 something. And I was denied. And then they gave her $200. They gave me $500, and we have access to it right away. $700, just like that. Boom, 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 boom. If I can, I'll put the picture of it on here to show you the proof. And I mean, like you said, you can say, well, that's not currency because you got to pay that back. Yes and no. It's like getting an advance on your money, and you're right, but that's what happens when you don't specify. And I guess that would be the moral of the story. If I specify financial currency, it's a vague enough way to get funds fast when you need it, but it doesn't necessarily cancel out the possibility of getting it in either gold or silver or in something worth trading or credit. You have to almost banish that, say, and free from credit cards or credit or loans. So I didn't specify that, but it happened pretty darn fast. So, and once again, I might even have made a candle before that weekend saying that we got a credit card, and just never manifested, and now it did. I don't know. But that's the success I wanted to tell everybody about. Plus, I won on a few bingo cards around the same time. And, it's pretty cool because the candle wasn't even done burning. And I got the time off, and I got that. Now you can say, well, I mean, you might have got the time off regardless of that candle, and you might get a proof of that regardless. And yeah, sure, you're right. But here's the thing. My wife has never thought about getting a credit card again. Ever. She doesn't want to. And all of a sudden, she thought of it. And I'm not saying this is a good thing. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying, I asked for financial currency, and I got financial currency. If someone out there wants a credit card, well, you know what to do. But she would never think of going for a credit card. She always tries to go for loans or, those payday loans or shit like that. And out of the blue, it's a Canadian Tire MasterCard of all things as well. Weird fucking thing to get. But anyways, and that's what I'm saying. The magic isn't necessarily, okay, the magic magically allows the people to approve me. It's like, no, I might have been approved this whole time, but my mind's not going to go think about that. It's like when you're looking for your keys, you look for every spot that you put the keys, and you never check the places the keys aren't. So if you have a specific designated area, and your keys are actually beside that area, you're going to look at that spot, you're not going to see them, and you're not even going to see them beside you because you're so focused on all the spots, and you're upset because you can't find your keys. Same thing, when you're trying to get money, you're thinking of only the ways that you possibly know you can get money. So all the other ways that are possible out there, you're not even going to think about. But then you do a candle, and it's like, okay, well, path of least resistance. Well, okay, he wants money. Well, we can get him a credit card. That's the fastest way to get it to him. Boom, got it. You know what I mean? That's how it works. Same with the time off. I might not have thought about doing like this. I might have waited around. I might not have tried. I might have just said, fuck it, I'll go back to work. But I said, I did the candle, and it opened up the opportunity for me. And this is why doing sometimes a road opener candle is beneficial. So you're trying to get money and you can't seem to get money. There's no, let's say the amount you're either asking for is too much, or you just have no way to get money. You don't have a card, you don't have a job, you don't have a fucking social security number, you don't have anything. So, well, first you do a road opener, which is something to open up the paths, all the different ways for you to receive money. It opens it up. Then after you do that, you do the candle. So at least if you do these both, then you're guaranteed to get something. I did a lot of road openers in the past, so I know I don't have to do them anymore. But, you know, it never hurts to redo some from time to time as well. So anyways, that was the success I wanted to talk about. But back to what I was saying about Ralph and the keys to the kingdom and all that. If you just give somebody the answers, well, they didn't earn it. They didn't work for it. And a good teacher makes you try to find the information. Philosophers tell you how it is, and you know, but they do it vague, and I feel like that's the kind of the path the way I teach. I tell you why I think the magic that I do works, and at the same time the lessons there implied, because I tell you why it works, and at the same time I'm telling you what I'm doing and why I think it works. So I give you the lesson with why I think it works as an overall teaching of how the mind works, because the more you hear how it works and you're focused on how it works and the procedure, you're not focused on if this works or not, and your subconscious is just hearing, okay, doesn't know what's real or fake. It just is to your subconscious mind. Anything you see just is to it. So that's an important thing to understand. My whole body's vibrating right now. Yeah, it's fucking weird. Anyways, so something important to note is that's my path. But like I said before, if you don't follow or do these things or do the rituals or whatever the case is, you might not want to do some of the more, I don't know, the trickier stuff that I do, the more, not necessarily advanced, but you know, whatever. Stick to something simple like sigils, put something in your mind, or just writing down what you want to manifest. Go the fucking affirmation route or the law of attraction route, like Earl Nightingale says, to write down what you want on a card. You look at it in the morning, look at it at night, look at it as often as you can in your day. Use your mind, your imagination to run wild with you getting it and putting in. He's telling you to put the feelings into it, that how you're going to feel whenever you receive the things, all that shit. So yeah, I guess that's probably going to be it for today. I don't know how much more I can talk about this. I want to talk about something that's worth talking about, and there's just nothing coming to my mind right now. So I'm just going to leave it at that for now. I might listen to it, and if I have something more to say, I'll say it. And if not, well, I'm going to play the thing from Eternally Aware for you, so you are aware of what may or may not happen. And, okay, I guess I do have more to say. When it comes to COVID-19, okay, we don't know what's going to happen. Anything's possible. So this is why I think healing magic is a good thing to learn. Is a good thing to start picking up the practice. But if you've only started magic and you're doing a neophyte or whatever the case is, and you haven't tried manifesting anything yet, well, that's fine. You should, since you don't need to heal yet, since nothing happened, then start working on small manifestations that, you know, some things you may need, but you're not desperate for, and you're not waiting around like, when's it going to manifest, you know? Whenever you have money coming in the mail and you look every day, versus like when you ordered something that your kid needs, you don't really care about. Well, let's do stuff like that maybe is important to your kid. Like, you know, your daughter's got lice, you're having trouble getting rid of it or something like that. Well, do it on that. Or, you know, your kid's not sleeping well, and that's probably pretty important. Anyways, try to do more mundane things. Once they happen, those results will tell your mind, man, this is real. And then when you do go to do something big, you're going to have a complete faith in it, and hopefully you'll be able to let it go, and then boom, it'll happen. But when you get into healing magic, it's the same as every other magic. If you're banishing stuff, then you're banishing stuff from your body. If you're bringing stuff to you, you're calling it to your body. And we use the energies of the planets or your ancestors, whatever, or deities, but because these energies are within us and they're around us, and it's a way to speak to your subconscious mind. It's a symbolic way to talk to your subconscious mind. And when you talk to your subconscious mind then controls the atoms, the cells in your body. And when your cells of your body are controlled, and you can do stuff with the cells of your body, because they're the ones that make all this fucking shit happen, well, then you're able to bring stuff into your existence that route. When it gets into healing magic, it gets a little more tricky because people feel like they need to focus on the cells in their body, which is a great way to do it. But all your magic should be like that. But that's where programming specific things like your Athame, well, whenever you consecrate stuff, you're basically programming it to do a specific job. Well, talking to your cells is kind of similar in that sense. Whenever you program materials or stones or whatever the case is, well, you're now programming your body to talk to a specific thing. So there are ways to go about it using Archangel Raphael, for example, or just banishing, going to your doctor and getting your doctor to tell you what's wrong with you, getting the title of it 100%, this is what's wrong with you, you have this weird foot disease and name this. Well, then you banish that specifically and don't banish your fucking foot in the process, and then get your foot cut off, but the disease is gone. This is why you really gotta work it out right, and don't just make it fast and do it right away, you know what I mean? But get the name of what's wrong with it, and then you can banish it. But like I said, all magic is basically by you're influencing the atoms, the cells, everything that's around you. So I forgot where I was fucking going with that. But all magic works like that. But the point I'm trying to say is, until you can successfully program the cells in your body, just working on the regular magic will get those steps necessary to be able to do that eventually one day, because you're opening that communication up with that. So basically all you're trying to do is get a symbolic representation in your mind of what you want to happen. Let your body do the rest. Now, spontaneous healing is talking to the cells directly, but that's once you have a gnosis. If you don't have that gnosis yet, then you get the symbolic representation in your mind of what you want to play out, and then you forget about it, have complete faith, and it will play out. But when it comes to COVID-19 right now, I think good practice for you is to use either law of attraction or magic to make candles saying that you're so grateful that you're healthy, that you're free from sickness, illness, virus, disease, shit like that. And that you're so grateful that you have a healthy physical body, you have a healthy mental state, you have a healthy emotional state, you have a healthy fucking I always forget what to do for the action one, for the will, for when you're passionate, you have a passionate state, anyways, fiery state, say all these things, do this often, and then before shit hits the fan and they're forcing these things on you, and then you end up being in fight or flight or something like that, and you don't pass this COVID test, well, go get tested first. Fucking take the game to them, you get tested and nothing happens, right? Because if you get tested now, something happens. Well, it's not the end of the world, because it's not fucking this big deal yet. But if you go get tested and there's nothing there, well, then whenever shit hits the fan, you're like, it's no big deal, I already passed this fucking test. That's how I feel. I had to do it once for work. I passed the fucking test with flying colors. Well, I don't know what flying colors, they don't show you the test. It's not like a result, like you got 80% or 60% or 51, but he almost didn't pass. It's not like that, obviously, but the point is, if you get something done now, it's kind of like I was just saying about the magic. You do these little magics that don't mean anything, but the results will be in your mind, and it's proof nonetheless. Whether it's something you care about or don't care about, the result is still the same. Your subconscious brought something in, and it's proof to you that magic is real. So if you go there and it's not a big deal, you treat it not like a big deal, and then you pass it, well, what do you think the next few times are going to be like? It's going to be the same, because you already passed it. And then this way you do the candles, and you do the candles saying that you're healthy. You go there and you pass it, therefore you are healthy. You're creating your own circle, your own circuit, to make sure that shit will never hit the fan for you. You don't have to worry about this. Because I'm telling you, if they do make us get vaccinated, and the name of the game is going to be, okay, well, you gotta get tested. It's like, well, if I already got tested not long ago and I am clear, there's no reason for me to get a fucking vaccine, asshole. And it's like, well, let's give you the vaccine, and if they try to do whatever to get you whatever, if you're not worried about it and you go in there like, fine, fucking test me, I don't give a fuck, I can't get sick anyways. You have that mind state, then there's nothing to worry about. They'll say, fuck, we tested him, he complied and he's not, so we shouldn't give him the vaccine. You know what I mean? And they're gonna say, well, now you can't be around people because you're not vaccinated. But no, because the vaccine is just a fucking, anyways, I don't want to get into all this shit. I was trying to get some helpful information. I don't think that's very helpful, because I don't want to promote people to go get tested with this test either, to be honest. I don't think that's a great idea either, nonetheless, even though I did it, because I know there's nothing to worry about. If you have a common cold, and because like Ontario guy was talking today, if you should go get your flu shot. It's like, why? So everybody can weaken their immune system with the flu and then fucking get COVID and die, you fucking prick. Like, go fuck yourself. But anyways, I'm going to have to listen to this because I don't know if I'm going to keep this or not. But anyways, if I don't come back on, thanks you for tuning in. And I'll play the guy after this so you can hear about the laws and the shit I said about COVID. But the shit I said about, healing and doing the healing magic and all that, definitely do that. The more practice, the more times you keep trying to talk to yourselves, eventually you're going to get through to them. It might take a while for you to get there, but eventually you will get through to yourselves. Therefore, start now. Start making a candle every day. Fucking that you're grateful that you're healthy. And then it's going to be like an affirmation. One or two things are going to happen. Either the magic's going to manifest and you're healthy, or you're going to keep doing it where it's like an affirmation and it's going to manifest. So we got nothing to lose. Therefore, when shit hits the fan, you're going to be healthy. You have all these candles that are built up. Like I just said, I might be manifesting today the candles I did 2 months ago. Therefore, if I start doing it now and this shit gets bad, well, then I'm healthy all through it and I don't have anything to worry about. So, win-win. Anyways, yeah. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. I'm grateful for everyone of you, and have a great fun.
The Alberta Public Health Act, Article 38.1, where the Lieutenant Governor The Alberta Public Health Act, Article 38.1, where the Lieutenant Governor in Council is satisfied that a communicable disease, referred to in Section 20.1, has become or may become epidemic, or that a public health emergency exists, the Lieutenant Governor in Council may do any or all of the following. Now look at subsection C. In the case of a communicable disease, order the immunization or re-immunization of persons who are not then immunized against the disease or who do not have sufficient other evidence of immunity to the disease. Number 3. Where a person refuses to be immunized, pursuant to an order of the Lieutenant Governor in Council, the person shall be subject to this part with respect to the disease concerned as if the person were proven to be infected with that disease. So what we are seeing here in the statutory law is that the government actors have been granted the power to force a person to be vaccinated, to force a person to take an immunization shot. And if you protest or if you refuse to take that shot, then they will consider you to be a carrier of the disease, the carrier of the COVID-19. Even though you may not be an actual carrier of the coronavirus, the statutory law allows them to treat you as if you are infected because you're refusing to be vaccinated. So the first thing that we should notice here is that they're trying to make vaccinations mandatory. And as you're going to see as you follow in this video, if you don't take the vaccination, there's going to be a lot of consequences placed upon the person's life through this statutory law. So we're looking into the definition section of that enactment, and it says a carrier means a person who, without apparent symptoms, so you're not displaying any symptoms, of a communicable disease, harbors and may disseminate an infectious agent. So may, not even shall, but you could. You could be carrying a disease and you could be spreading it. Now for the purpose of this section, person infected with a communicable disease, referred to in subsection 1, and a person who is suffering from a communicable disease, referred to in subsection 2, include the following persons: a person entering Alberta after having traveled internationally, a close contact of a person who is confirmed as having COVID-19, a person exhibiting any of the following symptoms that are not related to the person's pre-existing illness or health condition: a cough, a fever, a shortness of breath, a runny nose, or a sore throat. So if you exhibit any of those symptoms, then they can claim that you have a communicable disease, even if you don't have COVID-19, even if you just have the regular flu. This statutory power is saying that if you exhibit a cough, a fever, shortness of breath, runny nose, or sore throat, we can take it as meaning that you have COVID-19, the coronavirus. Now look at the next definition section. Contact means any person or animal suspected to have been in association with an infected person or animal or in a contaminated environment to a sufficient degree to have had the opportunity to become infected. Next definition section. Contact means any person or animal suspected to have been in association with an infected person or animal or in a contaminated environment to a sufficient degree to have had the opportunity to become infected. So you don't even have to be really infected with the coronavirus under this statutory power. You just have to be in a situation or in a place where you've had the opportunity to become infected, and they can grab a hold of you. They can lay a hold of you now. Article 22. Where a health practitioner, a teacher, or a person in charge of an institution knows or has reason to believe, there again, reason to believe, that a person under the care, custody, supervision, or control of the health practitioner, teacher, or person in charge of an institution is infected with a communicable disease prescribed in the regulations, meaning COVID-19, the coronavirus, for the purpose of this subsection, the health practitioner, teacher, or person in charge of an institution shall notify a medical officer of the health right away. Now it goes on to say, where a physician, community health nurse, midwife, or nurse practitioner knows or has reason to believe that a person is infected with a disease prescribed in the regulations for the purpose of this section and refuses or neglects to submit to a medical examination for the purpose of asserting whether the person is infected with that disease, or B, to medical, surgical, or other remedial treatment that has been prescribed by a physician and that is necessary to render the person non-infectious, or to comply with any other conditions that have been prescribed by a physician as being necessary to mitigate the disease or limit the spread to others, the physician, community health nurse, midwife, or nurse practitioner shall immediately notify a medical officer of health of a regional health authority in the prescribed form, where the medical officer of the health is satisfied as to sufficiency of the evidence that the person may be infected, the medical officer of health shall issue a certificate in the prescribed form. So here, the statutory power is very clear, and we'll walk through it very slowly. In Article 39.1, it says, where a physician, so your physician, or a community health nurse, a midwife, or a nurse practitioner, or a teacher, or other people in positions of authority, if they suspect you to have a disease, and you refuse or you neglect to submit to a medical examination for the purpose of asserting whether you are infected with that disease, with the COVID-19, if they send you a form and they say, we ask you to come take a test, and you don't come take a test, well, then you're going to go on a list. Now, if you refuse to submit to medical, surgical, or other remedial treatment that has been prescribed by a physician that is necessary to render the person non-infectious, well, how do they render a person non-infectious? By immunization, by vaccines. So if you refuse treatment and you refuse to submit to medical intervention, which includes vaccine, then what will transpire is that they will issue a certificate against you. Now, what is this certificate that they're talking about? Now, this issue of certificate, the definition is as follows. Certificate means a compulsory examination and treatment certificate. So notice the designation of that. It's compulsory. You must submit to examination and you must submit to treatment. Authority of certificate. A certificate is authority for any peace officer to apprehend the person named in it and convey the person to any facility specified by the medical officer of health who issued the certificate within 7 days from the date of the certificate is issued. For a physician to perform any test or physical examination required to determine whether that person has a communicable disease, and to detain that person at the facility for the period required to obtain the results of the examination. C. For any physician to treat or prescribe treatment for that person in order to render that person non-infectious with or without the consent of the person, and to detain the person for that purpose, and for a physician to prescribe any other conditions necessary to mitigate the disease or limit the spread to others. So we are clearly seeing what's going on here in this statutory power that was created through legislation. It says that a physician can order treatment upon a person, and that person does not have to give consent to the treatment. And the treatment is to stop the spread or mitigate the spread of the disease. Further, in Article 29, it says that a medical officer of health who knows or has reason to suspect the existence of a communicable disease or a public health emergency within the boundaries of the health region in which the medical officer or health has jurisdiction may initiate an investigation to determine whether any action is necessary to protect the public health. So this subsection here, Article A, we're already in. So they've taken analyzation of what's going on, and they realize that there's a communicable disease out there called coronavirus COVID-19, where the investigation confirms the presence of a communicable disease, COVID-19, the medical officer of health shall carry out the measures that the medical officer of health is required by this Act and the regulations to carry out, and may do any or all of the following: take whatever steps the medical officer of health considers necessary to suppress the disease in those who may already have been infected with it, to protect those who have not already been exposed to disease, to break the chain of transmission and prevent spread of the disease, and to remove the source of infection. So what are they referring to here when they mention these things? How are they going to do that? How are they going to suppress the disease in those who may already have been infected with it? How are they going to protect the rest of them who have not been exposed to disease? And how are they going to break the chain of transmission and prevent the spread of the disease? In Section 38C, it gives us the answer. It says that the healthcare practitioner, in the case of a communicable disease, can order the immunization or re-immunization of persons who are not then immunized against the disease or do not have sufficient or other evidence of immunity to the disease. Now remember, this doesn't take your consent. We just saw before that they said they can order treatment with or without your consent. And this treatment that they're going to order against the COVID-19 coronavirus is going to include immunization, a vaccine. They're forcing injections upon individuals, well, upon persons in the statutory world. Article 44 says, where one physician, supported by a laboratory report demonstrating evidence of an infectious agent. So, you know those tests that they're forcing people to take or want people to take that are giving false positives? If one physician comes back with a test that says you are positive, then you can be ordered into isolation, even though that test could be false positive. Or two physicians certify that a person is infected with an organism that produces a disease prescribed in the regulation for the purpose of this section. So all it takes is two physicians to verbally declare that they believe you have the coronavirus, and now you're considered a carrier, even though there's been no laboratory report, no coronavirus test. This is the power that the statutory regulation is giving them. Now it says, if you are been declared a carrier, then A, you have to submit to medical, surgical, or other remedial treatment, or to comply with any other conditions that have been prescribed by a physician as being necessary to mitigate that disease or to limit its spread to others. The physician or physicians shall each issue an isolation order in the prescribed form. Now, what is this medical and remedial treatment that they want to force you to submit to? Well, again, it's very clear in Article 38. It says that if this is the case in a communicable disease, then you are going to be ordered to take a vaccine. And you are going to be ordered to take that immunization. And if you don't take that immunization, you're refusing treatment. And then you will be put into isolation. So they're going to hold you in isolation until you accept treatment, until you accept to go through the prescribed treatment that they want to put you through. And as we saw, the prescribed treatment in the enactment, the treatment they want you to submit to is the vaccination. And if you refuse, they're going to put you in isolation. Now, an isolation order under Section 44 is authority for a health practitioner to observe, examine, care for, treat, obtain biological specimens from, control, and detain in a facility the person named in it with or without that person's consent until the order is cancelled under Section 46. A person is in respect of whom isolation is ordered under Section 44 shall be re-examined by a physician at least once every 7 days to ascertain whether that person may be released under Section 46. So here they're saying that with or without your consent, you're going to be put into isolation because you're refusing treatment, and that treatment is the vaccination. And once every 7 days, once you're put into isolation, then the doctor is accountable to come and see you and to ascertain or to decide whether you could be released. Now, the conditions of being released, as we saw before in the prior articles of this statutory power, is that you submit to the medical treatment that the physicians are ordering in order to mitigate the spread of this disease. And the treatment, the medical treatment that they want to order, is the vaccination of all individuals or all persons. If you're a carrier, a person who, without apparent symptoms of a communicable disease, harbors and may spread an infectious agent, or if you're a person exhibiting a cough, a fever, shortness of breath, a runny nose, or a sore throat, or if you're a person who's had contact with any other person or animal suspected to have been in association with an infected person or animal, or in a contaminated environment, to a sufficient degree to have had the opportunity to become infected, then they are going to consider you to already be infected. And they can issue a certificate And this certificate can force medical examination and medical treatment that you must submit to. This certificate will allow a peace officer to apprehend you and to bring you to the facility, the quarantine place that they're going to erect or have an operation. And when you're there, the physician will be allowed to perform any test or any physical examination which is required to determine whether you have a communicable disease. And they can detain you at the facility for the period required to obtain the results of the examination. And the physician is allowed to treat or prescribe any treatment for you in order to render you non-infectious, with or without your consent, and to detain you for the purpose of forcing you to take this medical treatment. All it takes is for two physicians to certify that they believe that you are infected with COVID-19, or one false positive test from their test kits and one physician supporting that false positive, in order to order you and force you into medical treatment. And if you do not comply with the medical treatment, which includes immunization for the communicable disease, then they can place you into isolation and hold you in isolation until you either, one, comply and take the vaccination, or two, have caught the virus, have went through it, and have now produced sufficient antibodies where they can detect it, and they will let you go. Once you are in quarantine and you are being held in isolation because you refuse to undergo medical treatment that the physician is prescribing, then they are only under obligation to come and verify or come and check on you once every 7 days while you are in this quarantine camp or in this isolation camp. And their verification process is to see if you are going to comply with the medical treatment. Not if you're doing better, but if you're willing to submit and comply. And it seems that within this statutory power, until you submit and comply, they can detain you, unless you can prove to them that you're non-infectious. And the only way you can prove to them that you're non-infectious is through a medical laboratory exam. There is a way to defend against these operations of law that are being brought forth in the statutory power, which is trying to strip you of your fundamental right and force you to take a vaccination and force you to be quarantined and put into isolation if you refuse their medical treatment. Within the enactment itself, it states that if a certificate is issued against you, you can go to the Court of Queen's Bench and deal with this situation before a judge on the Court of Queen's Bench. Remember that this is a statutory law. This law governs, controls, and regulates classes of persons. If you look into this statutory law, you will see exactly what class of person they are trying to regulate. I will have more to say in my next coming video. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you realize what's transpiring here across this nation called Canada, or this corporate body called Canada. Alberta is not the only province that are bringing forth these operations of law. These operations of law are being put forth by the legislators in most all provinces across this corporate body called Canada. They intend to force inoculation. They intend to force vaccination under the statutory power.